everybody, welcome back to 𝑑𝑻𝑪𝒅𝒔. Today we have another comic on the Tower of Ferrite featuring the new Magnezone from Astral Radiance with the Giga Magnet ability, allowing you to look at the top 6 cards of a deck and attach any number of metal energy you find there to your Pokemon in any way you like. So we're playing this card with our Duraludon VMAX with the powerful 𝑠kyScraper ability, allowing to prevent all damage done to this Pokemon by your opponent's Pokemon that has any special energy attached. And of course we have our Crystal Cave for the damage recovery, but more importantly we have our power heal cards like Hyper Potion and Cheryl for us to heal big damage and also recover those energies with our Magnezone. So this is the main combo of this deck. We're going to be tanking as much damage with our Duraludon VMAX with that 1 copy of Big Charm, and then constantly restore his HP and also his energies with our Magnezone and that 1 copy of Training Card. So this stadium actually helps us retrieve our fighting energy for Duraludon to attack. It also helps us draw cards into our hand with Greninja's ability every single turn. We don't have a lot of draw supports for this deck, but we do have a lot of ways to search for the right cards into our hand, like that 1 copy of Energy Surge, 2 Adamant, 1 Lumineon, and 1 Crobat. We also have 1 extra copy of Marnie for security. As for our set of cards, we have 4 𝑉𝑬𝑺𝑻, 3 Quick Ball, 1 Hisuian Heavy Ball, 1 Ultra Ball, and 4 Evolution Incense. We're only playing 2 copies of Rare Candy in this deck just because we have our Adamant and Lumineon to search for that card. We also have 2 Energy Recycler, 1 Pumpkaboo, and 1 Boss Order to help out with our strategy. Finally, we're playing 14 basic metal and 2 basic fighting energies. So that's all for the deck list, and if you guys are in need of any specific cards or packs for your own PTCG account, feel free to contact our sponsor from X-Trainer90 team for the best price in Pokemon TCG online codes. You can contact them through the links in the description below, or you can click on the top right corner of this video. They even got complete personal decks you could purchase, full art, secret rare gold cards to add to your collection, and packs from any expansion in format. Brilliant Stars, Astral Radiance, Rebel Clash, you name it. And now let's go for gameplay! Okay, let's go for our first game. We're up against a Zamazenta deck, a very cool new Zamazenta with the Fossil from Astral Radiance. They got Bastiodon to reduce 30 damage done to their Pokemon, all of their Pokemon, by your opponent's V cards. So if you play V cards, you actually do 30 less damage for each Bastiodon they have in play, and they got that Rusted Shield for the extra HP as well. So they're playing a basic, which is very smart, I would say. A basic V card with a lot of HP, 300 HP, kind of like Blissey, but it's actually a metal type, which means you get to play Crystal Cave, you get to play all of those metal supports like Metal Saucer, Galarian 𝑉𝑬𝑺𝑍 or something like that, I don't know. So you get to play all the metal energies, coating energy as well, to guard from weakness. You don't have Dunsparce. If you're playing Blissey, you get to do Dunsparce, which is kind of the same thing. Blissey actually gets to do more and more damage, so I would actually prefer doing Blissey with Bastiodon, but they actually decided to play a full metal deck. Because if you play Blissey though, you can't actually fit in that many heal cards because you're playing a stage 2. So a stage 2 support needs a lot of ways to get your rare candies, a lot of ways to, you know, search for your evolution card, and also the fossil. That's why they need their Mew and a lot of support cards to make that stage 2 evolution work as fast as possible, because if they don't get it out in time, then Zamazenta is gonna die and they can't actually tank enough damage to recover. So their main strategy is to tank and recover, heal, and they even get to discard a special energy from opponent's Pokemon with that attack, Assault Tackle, not doing a lot of damage, but they get to discard a special energy, so it's not bad. Only 130, but you know, it's quite interesting. They actually get to, you know, deny your VMAX Pokemon from attacking as well. So if you play VMAXs, you can't actually hit the Zamazenta at all. You're doing 0 damage to Zamazenta V, which is gonna get rotated on the next season, which is a bit sad because Zamazenta is quite interesting. I would prefer if they, you know, came up with a new Zamazenta with like an ability that works against V-Star. So like a shield ability that prevents your opponent's V-Star Pokemon from damaging it instead of VMAXs. Both V-Star and VMAX would be a bit broken, so only V-Star or only VMAX would be interesting. So since this one already works for VMAX, there should actually be a new one released for V-Star cards. I mean, that would kind of be obvious, right? Or even a Zamazenta V-Star. But there actually is a Zacian and Zamazenta V-Star coming out in Lost Origin. So if you guys are not aware of that, go ahead to Pokebeach to check out the new cards from Lost Abyss, Lost Origin. Not all those cards is going to go into Lost Origin though. Some of them are going to get cut as usual. Like English sets always get cut, I don't know why. So Lost Abyss actually has Zacian V, Zacian V-Star, and Zamazenta V with V-Star as well. But Zacian V has a new card with new attacks and new abilities. It doesn't have ability, it only has 2 attacks. So it's an entirely new card, whereas Zamazenta is a reprint of the one from Brilliant Stars. So they are, you know, they are reprinting the Revenge Blast Zamazenta for Lost Abyss, instead of making a new card with a new ability, which would be pretty interesting to see, but they actually don't have that. So I'm a bit depressed about that, because Zamazenta should be equally as powerful as Zacian, but I don't know why people are preferring Zacian so much. They are like, you know, bolstering Zacian a bit too, I don't know, it's insane. It's not supposed to be that way. Everything is supposed to be equal. Like, come on, let's just level the playing fields and give Zamazenta some love. But nope, Pokemon just decided to abandon Zamazenta and give it shit abilities, shit attacks. It's just doing so badly. But we got Rusted Shield though, so for now, before pre-rotation, is actually pretty good. And we actually get to showcase this deck. We get to showcase our Duraludon against Bastiodon Zamazenta, which is pretty interesting. It's a very interesting match because they're playing a hyper tank deck. We're also playing a hyper tank deck, and they actually get to, we actually get to cut through that ability, cut through the VMAX protection, the VMAX guard, with our GMAX pulverization. So Duraludon is insane because you get to strike against Miltank, you get to hit Decidueye, Altaria, you get to hit Zamazenta, you get to hit anything. You get to do a raw 220 damage to any card, regardless of the ability that they have, regardless of the effects. That means Bastiodon does not do any damage reduction on our Duraludon's attack. Duraludon is doing a raw 220, no excuses, no damage reduction, nothing. You can't do anything against Duraludon except for resistance. But same as your single strike Urshifu, you know, it doesn't, like, GMAX 1 blow ignores all effects on your opponent's active Pokemon except for resistance. Resistance still works, but since it's a dragon type, nothing is resistant to dragon type. That means the Duraludon is safe from that resistant block, and nothing reduces its damage. That's why it's so powerful. It has single strike energy. It has, like, what's it called again? Ambor to increase the damage done by Duraludon, which is insane. If you play Mustard for Ambor, you get to do 30 more damage for each Ambor you have in play, and even more with that Choice Belt and single strike energy. Hawlucha as well, I mean, it's just crazy now. So it's doing like 270 base damage with 1 single strike and 1 Choice Belt, and then 300 damage with Hawlucha. All you need is to Mustard for a Ambor, and that actually gives you, or even Houndoom for another single strike energy, that gives you 320, enough to kill any VMAX. Obviously not Eternatus, but well, if you can tank enough damage and heal every single turn, I think that's actually better than trying to do a one-hit knockout fast. So that is the main strategy of this deck. We're tanking, and then recover, not doing a lot of damage, but at least we get to stay alive for multiple turns until we get our second copy out. We may not get our second copy for the game though, but we do have that one Hisuian Heavy Ball to get it from the prize. We have actually 3 copies of the VMAX just because it's actually quite difficult to draw it out from the deck. It's quite difficult to search for that one VMAX card. I tried 2 copies, it just doesn't work. So 2 copies of the basic is fine, but 2 copies of the VMAX, 2 copies of VMAX actually makes it really difficult. I don't know why. If you have only 2 copies of the VMAX, it's insanely difficult to get it by your second turn or even your 4th or 5th turn. It's like, it's gonna show up really late. You need at least 3 copies of the VMAX. For any deck that you play, there's no excuse for that. Unless if you play at, you know, like 4 Ultra Balls and 4 Incense, then you get to do that. But we don't have the space for that just because we need a lot of energies, we need a lot of metal energies for our Magnezone's ability to work. Giga Magnet demands that many energies, and that actually restricts the amount of draw support we have, and we don't have a lot of ways to search for that evolution anymore. That means we need 3 solid copies of the VMAX. Having 3 VMAX is actually safer, so I prefer to do it that way. And now we actually get to heal with our Hyper Potion, but we haven't got our VMAX as you see. As you can see, we have not yet gotten out our VMAX card, so this is the very first build of our Duraludon VMAX. You know, whenever I first build the deck, I try out new combos, and I try new cards, and it doesn't actually work that well. So I need to keep on upgrading the deck until the final version where it is, you know, it works the best. And the final list is the one that you see at the beginning of this video, the deck review. That's the final, the best upgrade of the deck. this is not the best upgrade, but this actually is kind of an earlier version of this list, and it actually works pretty well, but not as good as the final one. I actually prefer one extra Marnie for the final list as well. So 2 Marnies and then replace one other card for something else. Replace one other card for a Marnie so they get to draw with your Lumineon. Because if you don't have enough energies in your hand, you can't play Adamant. Adamant doesn't actually work that well just because we only have 14 metal energy. If we get like a fighting and a metal in our hand, we can't actually play that supporter. So 2 Marnies is kind of essential. I would prefer to have 2 Marnies in this deck. Swapping that VMAX for Marnie would be perfect, but it just doesn't work. I don't know why. If you have only 2 VMAX in the deck, they just don't let you have it. They don't let you evolve until like your 9th or 10th turn, which is ridiculous. It's just bloody ridiculous. It's turn 11 now. So it's our 5th turn, or our 6th turn, I don't know. It's their 5th turn. My bad, it's their 6th turn. It was our 5th turn. And here comes the first Bastiodon. Doing nothing to our Duraludon. If we evolve though, if we don't evolve, they are reducing damage done by our Duraludon. So breaking swipe only does 110 now. And they actually got Crystal Cave, so both players are using that same stadium. We are healing from our Dragon type, they are healing from their Metal type. And they have their Zamazenta on the bench with that Rusted Shield slowly healing all damage from it. And we finally got our VMAX at long last. Here comes G-Max Pulverization. They got no tool card, that means it's dead. Even with the tool card, it's gonna die anyways, because even with Bastiodon, if we don't ignore all effects done by our opponent's active Pokemon, so all effects include their abilities, right? All effects include other Pokemon's abilities, which is quite interesting, because it shouldn't actually include that, right? Because the wording says all effects on your opponent's active Pokemon. Oh, I actually get it now. So that ability actually, Bastiodon's ability actually works on the active. So it makes sense, right? It works on all of their Pokemon, including the active. So that effect is ignored by G-Max Pulverization. It actually makes sense, my bad. So we actually need 190 to kill that Zamazenta had they attached the tool card. And even with that damage reduction, it is still enough because we're doing 220. And we got a lot of energies attached to our VMAX right now. We can play a Hyper Potion with our second Adamant if we get enough energies in our hand. So we need 2 energies though. How are we going to get it? If we top deck a Metal Energy, are we going to do our Greninja? Are we going to do... We better be drawing cards into our hand though. So this is the bad thing with this deck, is that you may be stuck with a dead hand and you can't do anything but Magnezone and attack. That's all you can do really. If you don't have an energy, if you can't play Greninja, if you have a Greninja prized, if you don't get the ball, I mean, it's kind of a bit risky, I would say, but I quite like the risk though, because if you have a good game, it's really, really satisfying. It's like super satisfying because you actually get to pull off all the combos at just the right time, and you don't really need the timing. You just really need to bring out the stage 2, your VMAX in play, and you also need to obviously get your heal cards at the right time. So we got Adamant for Hyper Potion, but Cheryl actually is quite difficult to play just because we only have that 1 copy of Lumineon. And if we do Luminous Sign for our Adamant, we can't actually do it a second time for Cheryl. But we do have 2 copies of Cheryl though, so it is a bit risky to play Cheryl if you don't have a Recycler in your hand, because you are required to discard everything. That means you have to play a Training Card to retrieve your Fighting Energy, or even, you know, get a... If you have a Greninja in play, maybe discard a energy to draw Energy Search or something, and then you actually need to rely on luck to search for the top 6 cards of your deck with Giga Magnet. So if Giga Magnet doesn't give you 2 metal energies, if you don't get 2 metal at the top 6 cards of your deck, you can't attack after playing your Cheryl. So this is the interesting thing about this deck, is that we are trying to use our Cheryl Magnezone combo, but just because we don't have that many metal energies inside the deck, just because we're playing a double energy, 2 different energies for our Duraludon, it doesn't actually work that well. But, you know, it's not bad, I would say. average, not above average. I would say it is average just because, you know, if it's not a Duraludon, if it's any other VMAX, it would be really bad just because, well, any other VMAX that needs two different energies. If it's like a Metal VMAX, I should try a Metal VMAX actually, Metagross with Magnezone or anything with Magnezone and Cheryl. That would be quite interesting to watch. But Duraludon, I prefer it just because it has that stellar ability, Skyscraper, which actually destroys all Single Strike, Rapid Strike, Fusion Strike decks. They cannot attack. They need Path to the Peak. If they don't play enough of that stadium, that's why we have our Pumpkaboo. We have 2 Crystal Cave and 1 Training card. So a total of 3 stadium cards in this deck to remove that Path to the Peak. So they can't actually attack that many times in the game. They have only 4 copies. They can only fit in a max of 4 copies of the stadium, and if they run out of it, if they don't get it at the right time, they cannot attack, they cannot do any damage with their Fusion Strike, Single Strike, and Rapid Strike Pokemon on our Duraludon VMAX. So that is the power of our Skyscraper ability, and I really want to showcase our Magnezone Cheryl combo with Skyscraper. So we actually did our Greninja and Duraludon just because we don't really need our Magnezone that early. Well, if they are not playing special energies, then you don't need your Magnezone, right? Because Duraludon gets to keep on tanking that damage. So we're trying to draw out our VIP pass or something, basic summon with our Greninja, just because if you get a Magnemite, you're kind of screwed. If you have a VIP pass in your hand and nothing else, if you get a Magnemite, you are kind of stuck and you can't draw anything on the next turn. You can't do anything but attach 1 energy every single turn. Like, it's just really bad. So if you don't have a Quick Ball, you can't search for Crobat, you can't search for Greninja, and the only way we can draw cards is with that one Greninja. So that's the bad thing about Magnezone, I suppose. Magnezone requires too much space for your energies. If you play a Magnezone, a stage 2 card, and if you need that many energies as well, you cannot afford to play an evolution. Like, you need a basic attacker. If you play a VMAX or V-Star or any evolution, stage 1, stage 2, in pair with your Magnezone, it doesn't work that well. I'm sorry to say, that's why this deck is average, just because Duraludon is that good. It actually kind of counterbalances how bad this deck is in terms of its arrangement, in terms of the draw support and engines. There is not much search cards that we have, but we do have, you know, if we are lucky, we do have enough to survive a few turns before we get those cards into our hand. You know, our Hyper Potion, our Crystal Cave, our VMAX obviously. Okay, here comes Meloetta, and we finally got our VMAX. It is actually our 2nd turn, if I'm not mistaken, and we actually got it early. That's why I say we need 3 copies of the VMAX. This one is actually the final list, where we are playing 4 Incense, 1 Ultra Ball, and 3 VMAXs. A solid copy to ensure that fast evolution and Skyscraper activation, you know, to deny them from attacking with their Fusion Strike, Single Strike, and Rapid Strike. Or even a Regigigas deck, they need that Path to the Peak. I actually lost to a lot of Regigigas decks and finally decided to add Pumpkaboo into the list, because Regigigas plays a lot of Path. They play a lot of Path to the Peak, and we couldn't manage to record a win, just because they got it really early. And then when I started putting Pumpkaboo into the list, they did not match me up against Regigigas anymore. So that's the bad thing about the game, is that if you have a solid counter against certain decks, they just won't bother to match you up against those decks. Like, if you're playing a water type, they won't bother matching you up against fire decks. Or if you're playing a Miltank, they'll just keep pairing you against one price decks. Like, it's shit like that just keep happening. It shouldn't really happen, just because they should be more concerned with customer service. They should give you the satisfaction of playing your deck. You know, they should give you a sufficient amount of wins for you to feel satisfied with yourself, with the cards that you purchased, with the decks that you purchased from the game. Like, no, that's just not happening. There's no system that regulates that. Like, the Pokemon Company is so dumb. There's no no proper system that helps people feel satisfied after buying the cards that they, you know, paying for the cards that they bought, and you know, the booster packs and everything, and all of those were, it just comes down to nothing, because we're paying you so much just to build a deck that doesn't work. Like, what? Why are you not matching us against the right stuff? Why are you not giving us the good matchups? We should at least have 2 good matchups in every 5 games that we play. Like, if you have not enough players in the game, you should pay people to play the game. You should pay your employees to play the game just to give people wins. I know that sounds a bit stupid, but you should think about your customers. Give them enough wins to make them feel satisfied, then they would want to keep playing your game. Like, that should be common sense. Like, come on. Where is the customer service? You should hire people to play for the matchups, to play the game so that people gets to win by having the perfect matchup. You know, they should be assigned with a deck, and they should be required to play it against players, and, you know, not play like, you know, not be committed to lose. No, they should still play to win, but they should be given a bad matchup, you know, a matchup that is kind of what do you call that, favoring the opponent, so that the other player gets to win, so that, you know, the customer gets satisfied. Because if you're the employee, you're not supposed to win, but you're supposed to still try. Because if you just let other people win, then that's not gonna make them satisfied. If you're paid to do something, you shouldn't hope to win. Like, I'm sorry, but if you're paid to do that, you shouldn't really, like, try that hard to win. I know it sounds stupid, I know the system sounds stupid, but it's just something to think about, you know? Like, it's really unhealthy if you keep getting 10 bad matchups in a row, and then people just stop playing the game for like 10 days straight. I've done, like, I don't do that, but I have a good mind of doing that sometimes, because this game is that terrible. It's just horrible. They just keep giving you horrible matchups over and over, making you fail 10 or even 20 games in a row. Whatever deck that you play, they're just gonna give you bad matchups over and over and over. It makes no sense. It bloody fucking makes no sense. It's like you're being targeted. It's crazy. It's fucking crazy. Like, it leaves no room for creativity. It gives you no room, no choice but to play those crazy meta decks like Palkia V-Star, Dialga V-Star, and copying the meta deck list, copying the exact same deck list like the Fusion Strike deck, Mew VMAX, copying those decks and just play them for wins. It's ridiculous. They're forcing you to do that. No way. That's not supposed to be what the game is for. It's supposed to be for the people. It's supposed to make people feel good. Like, why are you not doing that? It's a game, for God's sake. It's a game. It's not like a battle royale or something. It's crazy. If you're going for the tournament, I can understand that, because you actually, you know, you spend your tickets, you are expecting to compete with high-end players, like people who have really meta decks, powerful decks that are meant to win the game. But if you're playing the standard ladder, if you're playing the versus ladder, like, for fuck's sake, it's the versus ladder. It's supposed to be for fun. It's supposed to be playing for fun. There's no element of that. There's no room for creativity, no room for expression, no room for experimentation. There's no fun in this game anymore. It's not fun anymore. Just because they keep giving you horrible matchups. I'm not the only one, I'm sure of that. Okay, right now we actually have to watch out for 𝑪𝒐𝒅𝒔 because they can actually do, and they did 300 damage already. So I actually talked a lot about, you know, gibberish. It's not gibberish, it's something meant to express, something that should be expressed. Like, someone needs to say something about that. and I finally did so. So let's just, you know, focus back on the game. And they did Max Miracle twice, so we did Adamant this turn for another Hyper Potion, denying them the knockout on the next turn because Duraludon actually has 30 HP remaining, and now with the Crystal Cave and the Hyper Potion, we're recovering 150 HP. That means without any, they have no more Power Tablets, they already used them up. So without any Power Tablets, they are not doing a knockout. 160 damage is not enough. We got 180 HP remaining after the full recovery. So we can't attack, unfortunately, because Magnezone didn't get enough energies onto the Duraludon, but it's okay, we don't need to attack, we just need to deck them out. So we drew 0 prizes. We didn't draw a single prize for this entire game just because we couldn't get enough energies, we couldn't get our Magnezone out in time. But we actually get to delay the game until they have only 3 cards left in the deck. So if they don't do anything to recycle cards back, if they don't collect the 4 prize cards within the next 3 turns, then they actually lose the game. They need their boss, they need their cross switcher, they need something to kill the bench, either 2 V cards on the bench. We actually have a Duraludon that hasn't yet evolved, so they can do Cross Fusion Strike Techno Blast on the second Duraludon and the Crobat for the final 4 prize, but they actually drew all the 3 cards. They drew the remaining 3 cards with the Genesect, and now they have 0 cards left. They did the boss, they got the boss from, you know, they probably drew the boss from deck because they're desperate for it, but they didn't realize, I don't think, that they have 0 cards left in the deck, because I actually did quite a lot of things during this turn, and they did not concede. I did quite a lot of things. Look at that. I did the Recycler, we attached the energy. I know the game has ended, but we didn't get to attack a single time, so I really wanted to try and at least attack once with our Magnezone, and we should be searching for that fighting energy, but I thought we could draw with the Rose Tower. I don't know for what reason they denied us that stadium. We could have drawn with the Rose Tower, but they didn't let us. I don't know why. So Magnezone didn't give us enough energies even after the Recycler, which is just pretty depressing because we couldn't attack a single time for that entire game. Like, that's just crazy. That's how bad the game is. Like, meta decks always get the best, they get the best, I don't know, arrangement. The algorithm always favors meta decks. If you're playing a very set list, the list that everyone plays, the more common list, then you have a higher chance of winning. I don't know why that is, don't ask me. Like, the algorithm is rigged. For sure, guys, for sure. Like, we got only 1 energy, can you believe that? After the Recycler, for God's sake. After the Recycler. We should be playing our energy search after the Giga Magnet though, because searching for that energy with the ability and then with the item allows us that extra 2 energy for the attack cost. So that was a bit of a misplay right there. Not just the bad luck, but also the misplay, so it's a bit of our fault. We should be a bit more alert. But I thought we could have used the Rose Tower. Like, Rose Tower to draw until we have 3 cards into our hand. If we don't get the energy, at least we would be able to draw them out into our hand. So that's why I decided to do that. Because I thought we could use the Rose Tower. I don't know why they denied us that. I have no idea why we couldn't use that Stadium card. Well, it's a bit of a glitch, I think. I don't know what's happening. If you guys know what's going on, please let me know in the comment section below, because I'm clueless. I'm clueless why we couldn't use that Stadium card. We haven't used it yet. I don't think we used it for that entire turn. So we're gonna get a Crobat right here. Right now we're up against a Decidueye deck, Deep Forest Camo, Miltank, Super Wall with that 1 copy of Radiant Heatran for the high the high damage output, 1-hit KO strategy. So Heatran needs a fire energy though, so they may be playing Aurora, and if they do Aurora, they can actually hit Duraludon without the path. I'm pretty sure they have a path though, because they're playing like a V, what do you call that? A V Punisher, a V punishing deck, because they have that crazy wall, and it's a 1 prize. So they may just play a solid 4 copies of Path to the Peak. You never know. A few copies could be prized though, so let's hope a lot is prized. Like, you never know what's gonna happen in a game, because there was a single game that I played. We had like 2 Crystal Cave, 1 Training Card, no Pumpkaboo, but I think we have 2 Training Cards. I don't think we have a Pumpkaboo, but I'm pretty sure we have 4 Stadium cards in the deck for that particular list. And is the same is the same deck, Duraludon and Magnezone, but for that version we had 4 Stadium cards, and we were playing against a Regigigas, and they actually gave us 3 prize stadiums. Can you believe that? Well, no, 2 prize stadiums, my bad. 2 prize stadiums. That means we actually only get to play 2, and for our first one, we remove the path, and right after we play our first stadium, they play another path directly after the right after we played that. On the next turn directly, they did another path to the peak, which is just ridiculous. It's impossible. Like, Regigigas is just so frustrating, because they're playing so many new cards. If you're playing all the new cards, you get the best luck. That's how the game works. If you're playing a lot of new cards, because they're trying to they're trying to, what do you call that, coerce you into buying the cards. They're trying to force you into buying the new cards like Palkia V-Star. The more new cards you add into your deck, the higher the success rate. That's just basically how the game works. So we're trying to add as much new cards as we can. Adamantine, Magnezone, not a lot of other cards though, just because we need our Crystal Cave, Cheryl, heal cards, Big Charm, so not quite a lot that we could add, but it's okay. I really want to work out this combo though, because I mean, it sounds really nice. The concept is really, really lovely, because you get to do Cheryl, Recycler, Giga Magnet, and then Training Core to get the fighting energy back. You get to attack right after healing all damage from your Duraludon, and Duraludon is a dragon type, has no weakness. You have your Big Charm, you have your Skyscraper. It's just insane. Like, it is a beast with Magnezone. If you can find a way to make the list work, if you can find the perfect number, the perfect ratio of energy to supporter, supporter to trainer, to item cards, and item to Pokemon cards, if you can find the perfect ratio, then it would be the perfect build. But unfortunately, it doesn't work that well, just because you need too many energies. I don't know, you could try a Dream Ball for your Magnezone, but I don't know, it's not that easy to play Dream Ball, because you need Chinchino, you need Liepard. Chinchino is gonna get rotated, so Liepard for the next set, for the next rotation. Or Bibarel, something to draw your Peonia and Dream Ball into your hand, so they get to put it into the prize. We're gonna have an Arc Phone on the next set though. I'm pretty excited for that. Arc Phone actually allows you to swap the top card of your deck with a card, with a random card in your prize card, I think. A random prize card. And then you actually get to transfer your Dream Ball that way. So we don't have Oranguru for the next set. Oranguru is going to get rotated, but we do have our Switching Cups. So Switching Cups to put that Dream Ball at the top deck, and an Arc Phone to get to put that top card of your deck into your prize, and then replace it for another card in the prize card. So basically swapping it for a prize. But that's only one though, and you don't actually know which prize it is. You don't know the position, as opposed to your Peonia. You actually know the exact position of where the Dream Ball is at if you're playing a Peonia, and I'm not too sure about Arc Phone. I don't think they let you pick the position. I don't think you're allowed to pick which prize card, which position to place that prize card in. Okay, we got our Greninja, but we got no energies in our hands, so we're kind of stuck. This is a very funny game, because both players are stalling. They have a bad hand, we have a bad hand. But we are kind of meant to have a bad hand, unless if we do, if we attach enough energies to our Magnezone. So that is basically the gist of this deck. If we can do Giga Magnet for enough energies, if we attach, for example, if we get 4 energies for the top 6 cards of the deck, we're drawing out those energies from the deck. That means we have a higher chance of top decking a trainer, top decking something that we need for the next turn, right? Incense, a Pokemon Evolution, a Big Charm, anything. And we don't actually need a lot of pieces just to keep the system going, just to keep our strategy running. Our main strategy is to get we need our heal cards. That's all we need, right? Once we have the perfect setup, once we have our VMAX in the game, once we have our Magnezone Stage 2, all we need is our Cheryl or Crystal Cave and Hyper Potion. So we have no choice but to draw those cards out with our Greninja. That's why it's so important for this deck. Crobat, Greninja, and Lumineon. Like, those are the only way we can do it. We do have that one copy of Marnie for our Hyper Potion, but only 2 copies of the potion, so we don't actually have a lot of heal cards as well. I'm sad to say, no Lucky Ice Pop, no Honey, nothing but Hyper Potion, because we want to be doing the discard. We want to be showing off that we can do an energy discard and recharge in a single turn right after doing the heal, the crazy amount of healing with our Hyper Potion and Cheryl. One or the other, obviously, because Cheryl actually recovers everything. And then attack at the same time. That's what we want to pull off. But we don't get to do it as many times as, you know, as much as we like. As often as I would hope. I don't think we could pull off that main combo, the delicious, you know, recovery and attack in a single turn that many times throughout the games that I've played with this deck. I don't think it's that consistent, just because, you know, I keep repeating this fact, but you need a lot of energies for Magnezone. It's just impossible. Magnezone is impossible. Is the same as Blastoise. They're bringing back Blastoise from Sun and Moon. Powerful Squall. There's gonna be a Blastoise for Pokemon Go as well, with an insane energy ability, but you have to end your turn though. So ending your turn right after attaching 6 energy, you get to attach any energy, even special energy from your deck. Search your deck for 6 energies, attach them to your Pokemon in any way you like, and then end your turn after that. So bad thing about that card is that it's a stage 2, you have to end your turn, but you get to search for any energies. So very interesting card. I'm not sure how I'm gonna play that. I have no idea how to come up with a video featuring Blastoise, just because the ability is quite difficult. It's just really weird, but it's definitely making the game so much more interesting, because they're you know, ending your turn after an ability, like, it's kind of the new thing for Sword and Shield. It's kind of the new flavor that they are adding into the game. Kind of like Boost Shake and Camping Gear, Dream Gift, Sylveon V. You got a lot of things, Intrepid Sword, that ends your ability. What do you call that? Roar of the Sword and Greening Cells, stuff like that, that ends your ability, ends your turn, my bad. With an ability or with an, with an ability. Zamazenta V as well. Royal Stuns, I think. Discard your hand and draw 5 cards. I thought it was 6 cards when I first built a deck with that card. I think we built it with 𝑑𝑚𝑪𝑮𝑶 Mad Party. So a lot of people play 𝑑𝑚𝑪𝑮𝑶 with Zoroark and all the meta combos like Golisopod, Flapple, like all the boring list. I actually faced up against someone which is pretty smart enough to play Widear with Zoroark. So they played Zoroark, 𝑑𝑚𝑪𝑮𝑶, and Widear. They added Widear into the list and then do a super effective glass, because that actually hits for triple the weakness if they're playing a fighting Pokemon. If they're playing fighting decks, you get to hit 360 damage with extra sensory. So extra sensory actually does 120 damage if you have the same number of cards in your hand as your opponent, and you actually have that ability, Hurried Gate, to draw an extra card into your hand with your Widear stage 1. And they played a Zoroark box with that Widear, which is quite interesting, because they are not relying on the ability. They're not featuring the ability, they are featuring the attack with 𝑑𝑚𝑪𝑮𝑶 for the extra type to do triple the weakness with their super effective glass. So super effective glass, Zoroark stage 1 box, quite interesting. Okay, right now we're up against a Shadow Rider with Gardevoir. Shadow Rider, possibly a Gallade in there as well. So Gardevoir for even more energies, Underworld Door for extra energies as well, Diancie to block us from bossing the rocks, I suppose. Diancie doesn't work for Kirlia though, so if they do Mirage Step, we can still knock out the active. Well, we don't need to do the boss, right? If they do Mirage Step, we don't need to do the boss, because we want to be knocking out the active anyways. Okay, Hisuian Heavy Ball for nothing? That's the bad thing about that card, you could get nothing. Gladion is so much better though. So much better than both Peonia and Hisuian Heavy Ball. I don't know. It is a supporter card. I suppose it's just different. Because Heavy Ball is an item. Peonia gives you 3 cards, so and you get to know which position those cards are at. Peonia is actually quite powerful, but you don't get to draw, don't get to do anything else. If you don't have a power support like Bibarel, if you don't have a Chinchino Bibarel or Liepard, a draw engine, a powerful draw engine, not just a Greninja. Greninja is quite sad. Greninja is quite terrible because it only draws you 2 cards. If you're not playing Scubanet, Greninja does nothing. So if you don't have cards like Regidrago for the draw support, Snorlax, what else is there? There's going to be Comfey for the next set though. Comfey for a extra card from the top deck, and then put the other card. You get to look at the top 2 cards of your deck, put 1 card into your hand, and put 1 card in the Lost Zone. So Comfey would be interesting for the game, but Lost Zone, you have to lost 1 card, which could be quite a heavy cost. I don't think we can afford to lost an entire card inside the deck. If we have, for example, too many energies losted, we cannot retrieve them. If we have our Pokemon VMAX lost, if we have our V-Star losted, if we have our main attacking cards losted with that ability, then we can't actually attack them many times, we actually lose the game. So that's the bad thing about Comfey, is that it is a basic draw support, but it only works in active spot and it only allows you to draw 1 card into your hand, and you have to lose the other card, which is horrible. Okay, conceal cards for another 2. We got our training card. We're gonna play Ultra Ball for the Magnezone, and then Recycler. So this is the interesting thing. We actually did Adamant. We did Adamant for a Rare Candy and Trading Card, because we have a Recycler in our hand. So we did Trading Card for the energy back, and then Greninja to draw out more cards for us to discard for with our Ultra Ball, because we need to discard 2 extra cards. We have our Ultra Ball in our hand already. That's why we search for a Trading Card. And then with that draw, we get to search for Magnezone, Rare Candy Evolve, Recycler, and here comes the energies. The bounty of energy with our Giga Magnet. Giga Magnet giving us 3 energies. So I'm not sure what the best thing to do is. I'm not sure what the best practice for this deck is, because if you get a Cheryl, you're going to be forced to discard everything. But if you get a Hyper Potion, it's always best to attach as much energy as you can onto your Duraludon. But if you get a Cheryl though, it's all gone, right? You're going to need to recycle them back with another item. And there's not many ways to search for that 1 item card, because we have no... we have Adamant, but we only have 2 copies, and it doesn't actually work that well. It doesn't work that well just because we only have 14 copies of Metal Energy, and we need to be attaching them anyways with our Magnezone. We can't get them into our hand that easily, so it is a bit of a jam. It is a bit of a difficult thing, a difficult card to play, honestly. If you're using a stage 2 with that supporter, it only gets you 2 cards in your deck. Any 2 cards though, pretty interesting. Quite powerful, any 2 cards. I tried 3 copies of Adamant when I first built this deck. It doesn't work because it's just trash. If you don't have enough Metal Energy in your deck, Adamant does nothing. Okay, they did Shadow Rider, they did their first attack fast, so I think the best thing to do right now is to heal, if we can. So we're gonna just Training Card. Oh, we don't have a Training Card anymore. We already used it. So we're just gonna retreat right now. Let's just get as much energy as we can onto the Duraludon, because I'm pretty sure they can knock us out on the next turn. They got a Choice Belt. So if they Rare Candy Evolve the Gardevoir as well, it's gonna be horrible. If they got like an extra energy in their hand, they got 180 damage in the game probably. So they can attach 2 more energies to the 1 Shadow Rider without the Gardevoir. That's 150, 160 plus the 10 base damage, and 190. So 190 damage plus 150. We got no Crystal Cave. That's enough to knock out the VMAX. So we have no choice but to retreat right now. If they get a boss, I don't think they can attack that easily. I don't think they can do the knockout, because they don't have enough cards in their hand. If you do a research, they can knock out anything. Okay, we got a Cheryl. We're just gonna play the Cheryl right now. Hope for the best. Should we play it later? I think we should play it later though, because if we do it right now, they could just remove the stadium. But they're playing like I don't think they have any other stadiums. So Shadow Rider plays Training Card, right? Shadow Rider plays a lot of training cards in their deck. I don't think they're playing any other stadium cards. So let's just do the Cheryl and then retrieve the fighting energy on the next turn, reattach the fighting, and then do Magnezone. And this is an interesting game just because we get to do our Cheryl, and now they have 20 less damage on our Duraludon. So that means they can't knock it out on the next turn, thanks to that 20 less damage, which is doing something, because they didn't attach a single energy on the last turn, and they got one card left in their hand. We're not playing a Marnie, we are not doing a Marnie this turn, because Marnie is gonna give them a good hand. I know it in my guts. Marnie is gonna give them a really good hand, and is gonna totally screw us over. He's gonna give us nothing but, I don't know, VIP passes. Like, Marnie for VIP passes, can you believe that? He's gonna give us Incense, VIP pass, and Quick Balls. Fucking Marnie. I hate her so much. Okay, they did not attach a single energy again. They got a really bad hand apparently, because they're playing a stage 2 support, and I don't think they have that many, but they have a second VMAX as well. Dragapult, Shadow Rider, and Gardevoir. I don't think you get to play that many Pokemons in your deck. It's not going to be that consistent because you don't have the space for your draw support. The ability is draw support on its own though, so you just need enough energies to help you draw cards into your hand. So that's the good thing about Shadow Rider, is that you can draw with the ability, so you don't actually need that many supporter cards, which is quite interesting, isn't it? You can stack the ability as well. So when she knocks it out before it gets to the KO, that means they have no attackers on the next turn. If they rare candy evolve the Gardevoir, I don't think they can attack. I don't think they can do the knockout. They can still charge up the Dragapult, but I don't think they have enough. I don't think they have enough damage in the game to knock us out. So Jet Assault could possibly kill our VMAX on the next turn, but we got a second one on the next turn, and Training Card is going to help us recharge it. We got a Recycler ready to go, and it did an Avery. That means no boss, no Marnie. No Marnie, which is the biggest thing. No Marnie means we're keeping our Recycler. So whatever they do, if our active gets knocked out this turn, we got our Recycler for our Duraludon. We got Training Card to retrieve that fighting energy for the next one with a big charm attached. We are good to go to kill the final 2 prize with our boss in our hand. So they're done. We got a boss in our hand as well. Like, can you believe that? We just need 1 energy from the top 6 card of the deck. If they boss the Magnezone, we can just kill the Dragapult with our boss anyways. So if they don't evolve that VMAX, we're good to go. It's the end of the game. You need to evolve. And they just conceded. So no evolution, I suppose. Gardevoir didn't get them any energies. And now we're up against Slim Jim, playing a Psychic Coin. Not sure what deck they're playing. It was quite an interesting deck though, because they have Diancie and like basic cards, but they should be playing more Shadow. I mean, you should be streamlining your deck to like a solid combo. I don't know why people love playing a lot of different cards in their deck. You should be focusing on one main strategy. If you're playing Shadow Rider with Gardevoir, do nothing but Shadow Rider and Gardevoir. Why are you adding Dragapult? Why are you adding other cards? Why are you adding Diancie? You don't need Diancie. Diancie is actually quite interesting though, because it protects you from getting bossed. So if you have no extra V cards on your bench, if you don't get a second Shadow Rider on your bench, then it actually protects you from getting boss killed on your opponent's second turn before you even get to evolve or attack with it. So that's the good thing of Diancie, I suppose. It buys you that extra 1 turn early in the game if you don't get your VIP pass, if you don't get your quick balls. But it's another extra card you need to add into the deck though. So you need like at least 2 copies of Diancie to make the strategy work. And I don't quite like that. If you're doing Diancie, might as well do a solid Diancie combo, a full basic deck with Diancie, or like a V-Star that needs to do something late, like a Dialga. You can only attack late, so evolve it late. It's okay to evolve late because you don't need to do anything if you have a Diancie in the active spot. Evolve it late, get your energies, and Bronzong after the Intrepid Sword. You get to do Star Chronos after evolving once they kill your Diancie. That is the meta deck though, like everyone's playing that. Everyone's been playing that for ages. It works really well because it's pretty smart, but I suppose that's what the game, that's what they are encouraging. That's the main, like, the mainstream combo. The developer's intent. So they actually made Diancie for that, I suppose. Just for Dialga, I don't know. Because it was pretty early. Like, it's a very meta deck. You see it everywhere. You see it played everywhere. But a more common list now is the Mew combo. Mew with Dialga actually works better because you get to do a turbo charge with your Metal Saucer and your Trekking Shoes. You even get to play your Cross Swisher for the boss effect. So right now we're up against Slowking with Moltres and Toxicroak. Toxicroak is going to get rotated, but we got a Hisuian Sneasler, Radiant Sneasler for the next set, which does the same thing as Toxicroak, but you only get to play 1 copy of that card because it's a Radiant Pokemon. So Radiant, that means it is a basic. That means you get to bench it directly from your hand, forcing your opponent to take 2 extra damage counter for a poison condition every Pokemon checkup. So that means poison becomes 3 damage counter placement each checkup, but it's only 3 though. You can't add more than that. We have a Drapion V-Star for the next set. Drapion V-Star actually allows you to poison and paralyze your opponent's active Pokemon with an ability. And it's called Star Hazard, if I'm not mistaken. So poison and paralyze and place 3 damage counter for the poison condition every single turn during Pokemon checkup. So it's pretty interesting. Drapion V-Star. It does a solid 250 damage for 2 darkness and 1 colorless energy. 250 minus 10 for each damage counter on this Pokemon, kind of the same as Flapple VMAX. So Drapion V-Star is the same as Flapple VMAX, but the energy cost is a bit different. So it requires 2 darkness and 1 colorless. Flapple requires only 1 grass and 2 colorless. Flapple is actually pretty interesting though because you got Gardenia right now. So Flapple VMAX. But you need to keep healing though. You need to think about a way of healing that card. If you don't heal damage from it, you can't do more than 100 damage because they're gonna do at least 200 damage passing the turn, and then Flapple is gonna get damaged. You need Cheryl. You need something. We got so many cards to heal now. We got our Lucky Ice Pop, Honey. If only it's a colorless type, right? If only Sharon works for Flapple. I quite like that card though. I've played that card a lot. Like, it's an underrated card for sure. Flapple VMAX. I played it with Leaveney. Like, nobody ever built a Leaveney deck. Leaveney allows you Healing Circle, allows you to heal all of your bench Pokemon, all damage counter on all of your bench Pokemon, and then shuffle your Leaveney and all attached cards back into your deck. So it's called a circle for that reason, because it actually helps you recycle that attack by shuffling it back into the deck. But that means you actually have to, it's kind of the same as Aqua Return. You actually have to put forth a Sacrificial Lamb. You have to put forth something else as the sacrifice on the next turn. And your opponent is going to knock out either a V Pokemon with a boss or a basic, something that you need. Like, you can't afford to put something as the active, right? It's better to just do the heal effect like an Eldegoss, a Shining Face Eldegoss. There's going to be 𝑑𝑻𝑪𝒐𝒅𝒔 for the next set though, which does the same thing as your Eldegoss. So Eldegoss has the Enriching Seeds attack for Shining Face, healing all damage counter from one of your bench Pokemon, which is the same as 𝑑𝑻𝑪𝒐𝒅𝒔 from Pokemon Go. 𝑑𝑻𝑪𝒐𝒅𝒔 from Pokemon Go has the same attack for the same attack cost, if I'm not mistaken, 1 colorless, healing all damage counter from one of your bench Pokemon for an attack. And it has a lot more HP than 𝑷𝑗𝑚𝑪𝒁, so I actually prefer 𝑑𝑐𝒊 because it's, you know, obviously it's standard post-rotation, and also it has 200 HP for a stage 1 card. That is a lot of HP. Stage 1. Crazy. I think Wailord has 200 as well, but Wailord is Rebel Clash, if I'm not mistaken, so it's gonna get rotated. So that's the only card that is kind of up to match with 𝑑𝑐𝒊 from Pokemon Go. Any other cards, stage 1 does not have that high HP. Zoroark only has 120, Wormadam only 120. I mean, Liepard only 100 HP, that's horrible. Liepard is not a level ball card, and it's only 10 extra HP, can you believe it? If it's not a level ball card, it should be at least 120. But it kind of makes sense though, because Liepard is, well, Liepard is Liepard. It's a cat. It's not supposed to be that powerful. It's not supposed to be that robust. So we got our training court, and we actually have to think up a way of countering that poison effect up against Slowking VMAX. So I think the only way is to retreat. If they don't play a Galar Mine, we get to retreat to recover the special condition. I'm pretty sure they have a Galar Mine in their deck. So I have no idea what to do, honestly. If we retreat, we get to play a Cheryl after doing that. So we need one more energy for the retreat cost if they do the stadium. So only one training card is actually a bit risky, but we have 2 recyclers to shuffle back the fighting energy. Not a lot of ways to search for it though, only that 1 energy search and 2 Adamants. So it is a bit risky in that sense. Training card is kind of essential, and we only have 1 copy of it. I can't actually find the space for any more training cards. Maybe swap a Crystal Cave for a training card, but I don't like that just because the main theme of this deck is to heal Duraludon as much as you can, and we only have 2 Hyper Potion and 2 Cheryl for that. If we need to cut another stadium with the heal effect, that would be down to only 5 heal cards, which is horrible. So might as well just do 2 Crystal Caves. Okay, we're gonna do the retreat right now. They got no Galar Mine in play. Thank God we get to do the retrieval, and we get to retreat right now, doing a Cheryl to recover all damage and then attacking with a new one. I think we're just gonna do Breaking Swipe for the knockout. We're gonna see if we can squeeze as much juice out of Magnezone as we can. Let's try and play Giga Magnet at the right time. Are we gonna do our conceal cards first? Are we gonna do the draw support? Or are we gonna do the energy chargement? I think we have enough energy inside the deck though. If we draw with Greninja before Magnezone, I don't think we're gonna get enough energies onto the second copy. So we just need to attack with the V card, the basic, to knock out the VMAX. And that gives us an entire new turn. If they don't play a Choice Belt with the Moltres, they can't kill the Duraludon. If they do a Choice Belt, they can actually kill our V card on the next turn. But I think it's just better to try and attack with the second one. Cheryl on the first one. So we're gonna Lumineon to get rid of... that's actually pretty smart. The voiceover is separate from the recording of this game. It is the same person playing this game, I'm playing this game, but the voiceover is separated. That means I'm actually narrating after playing the game, so that I get to focus fully and show you guys how the deck works. So that was actually pretty smart. Play the Lumineon to get rid of non-energy cards out, get those supporter cards out of the way. That actually ensures more energy from the top 6 card of the deck with Giga Magnet. And I'm pretty sure we got 2 this turn. Did we do the draw first? I have no idea what to do. Look at that. Are we gonna draw cards with Greninja, or are we not gonna do that? We actually did it though. And then Giga Magnet. We got our VMAX, but we can't evolve because we benched it. We should have benched it on the last turn, but did not have the foresight to do so. I thought the first one could survive enough turns. We actually got 3. Look at that. We got 3. We got lucky this game. But we have a lot of energy inside the deck though. I mean, we should be getting at least 2, right? I don't know. You never know, honestly. Magnezone is just a gamble. We already attached 3 on the deactive. I'm pretty sure we have like 1 or 2 in the discard pile and 1 in our hand. So that means we only have a total of 9 maybe inside the deck. And we got like 19 cards left before the ability. So 19 out of 9, that's actually more than 50%. So it kind of makes sense that we got 3 out of 6. Right? 50%. So we're gonna do a Cheryl. Make sure you check to see if you have any damage counters on your other evolution cards. If you have any damage counter on your second Duraludon, and if you have a lot of energies invested on that, then Cheryl is gonna discard energies from both of your VMAXs. And then you can't attack with any copy. So make sure you check that, and sometimes it's better just to do that anyways, just because you got your Magnezone Recycler to retrieve your energies and deny your opponent a boss knockout on your bench Duraludon for that extra 3 prize. Because getting 3 prize with a Duraludon VMAX knockout is a lot, is giving them a huge advantage. And that means they can just, cross Pokemon Catcher or boss the second V card, a Lumineon or Crobat, to win the game. So this is the high risk that we are playing. We have our V supports our Lumineon Crobat. We have our VMAX prize, what's it called? The prize liability. It is very liable just because your opponent draws 3 prize. Okay, right now it comes down to, are they able to get the choice belt on the Moltres? If they got it, we're done. If they try to attack with the Slowking, we got a boss in our hand. So they need to play a Marnie. I think they know we have a boss because we did our Luminous Sign for the boss order. So they actually know we have a boss in our hand. They know we have a Duraludon VMAX because we searched for it with an Incense. So they know we could do our GMAX Pulverization on the Slowking at the bench. And if they don't do a Marnie this turn, they are completely screwed. They cannot attack with the second Slowking. They cannot evolve. And I think that's their main attacker. I don't think they have a choice belt for Moltres because they're trying to poison us to death with that GMAX attack. The Dynamax attack, my bad. I'm not sure if Slowking is a Dynamax or a Gigantamax. I don't think it has a Gigantamax because it's a Galarian. So we actually won that game because they know they couldn't do anything without a Marnie. And they don't have a Marnie, they actually had to concede. We got a Zacian coin for this list because we are playing a metal type Pokemon. Metal for Magnezone, Dragon for Duraludon. Duraludon is actually a metal type as well. It would be pretty cool if they came up with a Duraludon V-Star. I would be all up for that. Like, it would be so dope though to have a Duraludon V-Star, right? Because the Champions Path one is going to get rotated. It would be quite interesting to see a metal type Duraludon with a V-Star, a V-Star, what do you call that, complement. Okay, we got our VIP pass, that's great. We do have a lot of basic summons for this deck. 4 VIP, 3 Quick Ball, and 1 Hisuian Heavy Ball, 1 Ultra Ball as well, but you may get nothing in a single game. If your opponent plays more of those basic supports, if they have more basic Pokemon in their deck, you may not get your VIP, you may not get your Quick Balls on your first turn. And that actually sets you back by a whole turn, or even more if you keep drawing nothing but energies. So that is the bad thing about this deck, I suppose, but there's always a weakness for any deck that you play. This is the weakness of this deck, because we can't play Capture, we're not allowed to play that card, because we need fighting, we need all the type energies for Duraludon to attack. It may be wiser to play a few captures though, I don't know, but it's actually wasting space inside the deck. You're not using it for Magnezone anyways, it serves no purpose. If you're adding capture, might as well just add balls, right? Because it's not satisfying the attack cost, it's not working for the ability, it only helps with Greninja. It does help Greninja draw cards, but it doesn't help you retrieve your training card. So if you do capture, the only plus side of having capture instead of an extra ball, instead of an extra, like, you actually need Adventurous Discovery for your V card, because we can only fit in a max of 4 quick balls, and it's gonna get rotated as well. So maybe Great Ball, Ultra Ball, Pokeball. I don't know what else you can do to get that V card into the game. Stormy Mountain, right? Stormy Mountain. But we want to be playing the Crystal Cave. Unfortunately, Stormy Mountain doesn't work for metal Pokemon, so we can't actually use the stadium to summon Magnemite. Magnemite has to be summoned with either Sonia. Sonia is perfect though, right? Sonia works for V cards and any basic, right? It's gonna get rotated as well. I have no idea what's gonna happen to the standard format. There's no more V summons. Like, the only thing that works is Egg Incubator. There's gonna be a Spelunker on the next for Lost Abyss, which actually helps you search the bottom card of your deck. The bottom 3 cards of your deck, if you flip a Tails, you get to search for the bottom 8 cards of your deck if you flip a Heads, and then choose one and put it into your hand. Only one card though. You only get to choose one card and put it into your hand. If you use that supporter for your Egg Incubator, you're doing nothing but a basic summon. For a supporter card, you're wasting an entire supporter just to get back your egg, just to summon a basic Pokemon. That's ridiculous. And there's no other cards that allow you to search the bottom card of your deck. It allows you to draw from the bottom of your deck like Lucre. There's no new cards that allows you to do that. It's just ridiculous. How are you gonna get that engine running? How are you gonna make that item work? If you guys are not familiar with that card, you actually have to flip a coin. I keep repeating this almost every video now. Like, I'm like a broken record. Sorry guys. Because that is the only card that allows you to bench a basic. Egg Incubator, you have to flip a coin. If you flip a Heads, you get to search your deck for a basic Pokemon, bench it directly. If you flip a Tails, you have to put that card at the bottom of your deck. You don't have to discard it, but you do have to put it at the bottom. And that means it's quite difficult to draw it back, unless if you shuffle your deck with a Shauna or, you know, with an ability or an item. There should be a Ninetales though. Like, there used to be Alolan Ninetales, the fairy type Alolan Ninetales GX, that allows you to search your deck for 2 items as you evolve that card from your hand. And that was so cool. Like, I love that card so much just because you don't need to, it's a stage 1, and you don't need to play fairy, you don't need to play fairy type, you don't need to, it's just, you can use that for item just for the ability. You don't need to make the deck a fairy deck, you don't need to make the deck a water deck or an ice type. You just need to play that card for the item. Scuba Net doesn't work though, but we have our AZ Acerola to recycle that ability. AZ is probably the best one. AZ, I don't think it works anymore. I think AZ was XY. I don't think AZ was Sun and Moon, my bad. So Sun and Moon actually does not have AZ. Marnie. Marnie is actually helping us because I don't think we have a good hand. We need our heal cards. So this is the game where we couldn't, for the life of me, draw out the heal card just because we couldn't use our ability. They have the Path to the Peak, we couldn't get our Stadium card. That's why Pumpkaboo is so important. That's why I finally decided to add that Pumpkaboo, because we're relying on Crobat, Lumineon, and Greninja to draw out our heal cards. Either Cheryl with Luminous Sign or Greninja for Hyper Potion. So we cannot afford, or even Dark Asset for Hyper Potion. We cannot afford to play that little Stadium cards or no Pumpkaboo in the deck. Just because Path to the Peak is completely going to shut down not just Skyscraper, that means they get to hit it with special energies, but also completely shutting down our draw support. Greninja is a Radiant Rule Box Pokemon. That means it cannot use concealed cards. You cannot draw with that ability. Okay, we're just gonna compress the deck by drawing out our evolutions, the cards that we don't need. We're just gonna evolve it actually. And then maybe do a double Giga Magnet so that we get to pull out our Hyper Potion out as fast as possible. We actually got our Crobat, Lumineon, and Greninja, but we couldn't play them. We couldn't play them all thanks to that Path to the Peak. So we have no choice but to attack right now. They could have done another strike with the same Jolteon, but decided to just retreat it to the bench. I think they were trying to do a Cheryl. They're trying to wait for the Cheryl. Because if they play that supporter, they get to recover all damage, and then they are forcing us to hit twice for a single VMAX knockout. So I think that is their game plan. But I don't think they got the Cheryl that easily. So both players are eyeing for that heal card, and neither got any. Neither got any of their heal cards, which is a bit depressing. They are playing Inteleon though, and they did another Marnie, and we got no heal cards again. You'll see, you'll see. Got 4 heal cards. I'm pretty sure we priced a lot of them. At least we got a Stadium. That means we get to draw even more cards into our hand. We need to be drawing first before doing our Giga Magnet. I think we did our ability too many times. So the bad thing about Magnezone's ability is that you have to shuffle the deck after attaching your energies. So shuffling the deck is not good just because, you know, after the Marnie, it means, you know, you could be getting back the same cards that you put at the bottom just now. So if you don't play the ability that many times, you could be drawing fresh new cards if they do a Marnie on you. But that's the only way we can, you know, that's the only thing we can hope for, is if they play a Marnie to help our hand, which is quite bad because we need to be doing our own draw support instead of relying on that. So that's why Pumpkaboo is so important. I'm repeating myself again, but it kind of loops back to the same concept. We finally got our heal card. We got our Hyper Potion at long last. And we actually got it at just the right time, helping us heal 120 damage. We didn't get our Crystal K, but that's okay. They're only doing 100 damage plus 40 more with that double Inteleon Quick Shoot, but it's still not enough to knock us out on the next turn. They're only doing up to 260 damage onto our Duraludon. We got 26 damage counters, but we're still good for one turn at least, for us to get out the second Duraludon or do a Cheryl on the next turn. So we got a few turns to spare before this one gets knocked out. Both players have 5 prize cards remaining. I don't think they have any more Path to the Peak though. So if we knock out the active, if we knock out the one with the basic energy attached, they may not have any more basic. And that actually ends the game right there. So we just need to get the boss, because they're probably going to retreat and attack with the new one. They can't attack though, because they got no path, right? We knocked out the path. So they have no choice but to attack with the active right now. And that means we get our first knockout, our first VMAX knockout on the next turn. We don't need a boss, because they are forced to attack with the same one. Are we going to attach the energy first, or are we going to search for Cheryl? I think the best bet is to draw. I mean, you never know what's the best thing to do. We only have 2 Metal Energy left inside the deck. So I actually chose to attach energy first. We can actually kill the Jolteon with our Magnezone. But if we do that though, we run the risk of knocking out our stage 2, which is the main support we need for the Duraludon to recharge the energies. If we play a Cheryl after the retreat and then do Power Beam, we can knock out the active. But then the Duraludon cannot attack for multiple turns. But they may not get their path in time. We didn't get our Cheryl, we got it with our Aroma Lady. We actually played that supporter for one of the lists, one of the earlier version of this combo, just because of this build. Just because it helps you recover from special conditions. If they play D-Rant with Yellowhorn or Butterfree with Sneasler, you actually get to recover from Confusion, you get to recover from Burn and Poison as well. Galarian Slowking VMAX. You get to recover from any special condition, all of them. But you only get to draw 2 cards, and we actually got the Cheryl, with the Aroma Lady, but we can't play it. So we're stuck. Our only hope is if they don't play a path, or I don't know, don't attack. I don't think they can attack with anything but Jolteon for this deck, just because they're playing Lightning. If they have that Steam, we're done for. If they don't, they are kind of done for. So they should be putting forth the second Jolteon, right? I don't think the second one has evolved yet. The third one, my bad. So the third Jolteon is actually a basic, and it's only 190 HP. That means it gets knocked out with one strike of our GMAX pulverization. Duraludon gets to kill the Jolteon with one hit. So they need to evolve the second copy and then put it in the active, but they couldn't do it. They didn't get the evolution. Even if they put the second one, we got 2 prizes remaining. We get to knock out the last V card for the final prize. They should be retreating to the 𝑐𝑭𝑭𝑬𝑹 though, to the Inteleon or something. Like, they shouldn't be giving up that easily, because they may have more stadium cards inside the deck. They need a path. They need something like a rod, or, well, if they attach this special energy, there's no way you can discard it, because Jolteon actually has 0 energy retreat cost. So attaching the special energy helps you draw with your speed. Speed energy helps you draw extra 2 cards, but if you don't get the path to repeat, you cannot attack Duraludon. So I think they make a few blunders for that game, just because they could have done a knockout had they not retreated to the bench earlier. So trying to do that Cheryl recovery was the biggest mistake. Okay, right now we're up against our final matchup, which is Shadow Rider VMAX and Alcremie. Classic one-hit KO deck, playing basic energy, so I don't think we stand a good chance unless if we get a really good setup. And apparently we got our VIP pass, which is great, but we need our rare candy, Adamant, and we need a lot of stuff, honestly. But once we evolve though, it's set. Like, our system runs quite smoothly. We got our heal cards, 2 copies inside our hand, which is great. We just need to draw with either Greninja, Crobat, or Lumineon on the next turn. So if you got like a lot of metal energy in your hand, it's better not to discard them with your Quick Ball. Don't attach them to Duraludon. Don't do anything with your metal energy if you have even just 1 copy in your hand, because on your next turn you could be drawing another from the top deck, and then you could do Quick Ball for Lumineon to get your Adamant, and then you could search your deck for any 2 cards. You could do your rare candy, and that actually gets you more energies with your Giga Magnet. So always, it's always best practice not to attach metal energies. Only attach if you have fighting energy in your hand, and we actually got an Adamant in our hand. But we did our concealed cards on the last turn. We couldn't do it this turn. That's fine though, because we can actually drag the game out. They got 2 Shadow Rider on the bench, so I don't think they can do a knockout that easily, that fast. They got 4 energies in the game on the next turn. If they play Articuno though and a boss, they can actually knock out the Duraludon on the next turn. So let's hope, fingers crossed, they don't do that. Oh, we actually played a Crobat. I think we did our rare candy this turn. So we attach a metal from our hand. That means we just need our rare candy. So we discarded everything because we got a Magnezone. We got a Magnezone already. We just need our rare candy. We got to play our Adamant thanks to that Crobat. So it was a really smart play on our part this turn, just because we played our items, we discarded a lot of stuff, and then we searched for a Crobat to draw out the energies, and that actually allows us to play Adamant for that rare candy, and rare candy actually got us our fighting, Crobat actually got us our fighting energy, Adamant, my bad. We got a rare candy and a fighting energy with that double search, and now we're gonna Giga Magnet for at least 2. We just need 2 energies for Duraludon to attack this turn to kill the Alcremie. That's gonna give us a huge advantage. So now they cannot do the knockout with their Articuno, because Alcremie is off the game. It is out of their field. It's knocked out. We got our first 2 prize. That's great. We actually get to do it early, which is a first for this deck, because It is just that difficult. On our second turn, we did so many things. We got to evolve our Duraludon, we get to do our Rare Candy with Adamant, we get to play Crobat, Moonlight Shuriken, no, my bad, Concealed cards to draw even more. And we even have a Choice Belt, oops, a Big Charm in our hand, ready to attach on the next turn from the prize. Okay, they discarded the Crystal Cave. Kind of expected, because they need Pumpkaboo against Path to the Peak. So Shadow Rider is pretty interesting because that ability helps you draw cards into your hand. That means you don't need to play that many supporter cards. I know I said this before, but it actually makes the deck much more consistent. So you just need a lot of ways to search for your energy, like Fog Crystal, Energy Search, and a lot of your Shadow Rider really. And enough Stadium cards, obviously. Pumpkaboo. A few copies of Supporter is good though. It's always healthy to have like at least 1 or 2 Research and Marnie. This deck actually only has 1 Marnie, which is a bit of a risk. But I quite like it though. Higher risk, higher reward, right? Okay, they're switching to the V card for some reason. Trying to deny us from playing our Crystal Cave. But that would be quite stupid if they don't evolve this turn. That means they're giving us another 2 prize. 𝑑𝑻𝑪𝒅𝒔, Shadow Mist, my bad. Astral Barrage, Shadow Mist. So Shadow Mist actually prevents us from attaching a special energy or and playing a stadium card. So we can't do either. We can't do both. We got our second Duraludon in the game. We're just gonna draw 2 cards. We got our Hyper Potion ready to go. We're gonna Giga Magnet for at least 1 energy. We got 1. There we go. It's always better to just attach every single turn, even though you may not need to. It's just better to attach to your Duraludon extra copies of your metal, or just attach to your Magnezone, any other Pokemon for the retreat cost, just in case they boss you with a Galarmine. And that way you actually get to compress your deck, increasing the rate of drawing out your supporter, drawing out your item, your heal cards, your energy recycler. So that is the way to play this deck. Attach as many as you can, as fast as possible, and that actually makes the deck more consistent. It helps you draw out the cards that you need to search for your heal effects, to search for your item, your, what do you call that, tool card, Adamant for your recycler, stuff like that. Boss order. Quick ball for boss order. Okay. Here comes another Alcremie, a bit too late in the game. They need another turn. If they don't play a Marnie, they are done for because we got a boss in our hand. They couldn't even attack this turn, which is a bit sad, unless if they do Articuno, Energy Switch. It's not impossible though. And they got a lot of energies in their hand. Sadly, they had to discard it, but they got training card. They got our training card to retrieve those. You kind of need Adventurous Discovery for Shadow Rider Alcremie. Pretty sure they have it inside their deck, just didn't get it at the right time, I suppose. And they actually have a third Shadow Rider on the bench, but they couldn't evolve on the same turn, unfortunately. And we got our boss for the final knockout, drawing the last 2 prizes with a Crobat kill. And we won against Shadow Rider a second time, which is great. It's a Shadow Rider Alcremie is a 1-hit KO deck, which is actually pretty cool because we get to kill a 1-hit KO with our Duraludon, a massive tanker. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. We'll see you next time. Have a great day and bye for now, lovely people. Enjoy your life.